Today we're talking the Niman Lightsaber Form from Force and Destiny Star Wars RPG by Fantasy Flight Games. The Niman Disciple is a talent tree from the Consular career from the core book of Force and Destiny, which focuses all on mastering this form. So in general, this form, the idea is that it's sort of a well-balanced-ish, decent defense and not too difficult to focus on a little bit while you're doing something else. That's the idea. Like, you learn a little bit of sheet shell and basic training, and then, you take that basic knowledge and then maybe focus on Niman a little bit while you're being a Jedi librarian or diplomat or whatever else. You don't have the time to really focus, so it's just a nice, easy tree to kind of work on. So, mechanically, it actually works pretty well as a decent defensive/offensive supplement, because, like any other lightsaber form, we have technique, Niman technique, which allows you to use a different characteristic than normal for attacking with your lightsaber. In this case, it's willpower instead of the normal brawn, so you can use your willpower stat. Finally, your Gans and your Keldors, or Keldorian, whatever they're called, with the really strong will. Like, how useful is this? Oh, now it's a combat stat with this talent tree. That is awesome. Of course, we get lightsaber as a career skill, and there is a little bit of talking aspect to it. So I guess it works well as a supplement if your other tree is a talker focused person. Sage, for example, they have a talking focus, so it kind of makes sense. You're more the diplomat, Jedi diplomat kind of a character, and then you occasionally sidestep on over into the basic defense with the lightsaber form. Niman, also a big part of this, which meshes well with a more academic librarian, meditating, learning more about the Force and becoming one with it sort of a character, is the fact that it integrates Force powers into the lightsaber form in a couple different ways, in a way it's really nice. Telekinetics, mostly. Telekinetics and lightsabers, fun stuff, and all around actually feels like a pretty just classic all-around Jedi type of tree. Strong mind, talking, Force powers, saber combat. Mostly saber combat and defense. Anyway, so let's focus on the talking aspect. This will be quick. Definitely better with negotiation, although some other presence-based career skills as well. Negotiation is the talking skill you're best with, and you do get help with some talking skills, although actually not negotiation. But the other ones you do. I guess you're sort of evenly spread amongst the talking skills. It's a little bit of help. Not much, but, it's something. Better than nothing. We also have some decent talking defense, partially from Nobody's Fool. Also, partially from the fact that you're probably going to want a 4 in will, given that that's a combat stat for you, and you're a combat tree, so yeah, you want that 4 in will. And will helps you with discipline, which helps you resist 3 of the 5 different talking checks, if they're trying to manipulate you in that way. And also, you can double up on discipline, so you got a really strong mind. And that's it. That's it for the talking aspect. Not much. But defense, that's where we really start to shine. So we got a couple ranks of reflect and parry, and they're evenly spread out. Above average amount of ranks in each, and you're just as good with one as the other. So just good all-around defense. Strain yourself to reduce incoming damage of different type depending on what it is. Also has the advantage over other more active defenses where you don't have to decide, do I strain myself to activate this active defense, which typically only helps me with one type of defense, which I might not even get attacked that much or at all this round, or they might have missed without it. Is it worth it? Well, with parry and reflect, decide what you're avoiding. Oh, that's a big attack. Yeah, I definitely want to parry that, or definitely reflect that, so you have more fine control over it, and you're more likely to be able to use it more often because you got a strong will. You're going to have that 4 in willpower, so you're going to have a stronger strain threshold and be able to recover from it more easily with a discipline check at the end of battle, so you can more easily justify straining yourself more often to do various things, including parry and reflect. Also, a big part of defense, this is huge, you just get help with your defense. You just improve the defensive rating twice. Under certain circumstances, you have to have the right gear set up, but as long as you have the right piece of gear to defend yourself with, you are better at defending yourself. It's not often that any amount of defense pops up from equipment or your tree or whatever, so to get it twice in one tree, that's pretty impressive. Combined with the other stuff, you are hard to hit, period, in the first place, and also you are good at reducing the incoming damage, because, technically, defense or any help to your checks against the attack checks, any hindrance to incoming attack checks, I should say, that's sort of a randomized damage resistance, if you think about it, as well as making it so you're less likely to be hit in the first place. But that is not the only aspect of dying less that we get help with. Center of Being, we have a force talent which helps you mitigate incoming critical hits and the like, and you do need to have a very specific piece of gear. Like the other defensive talent, only it's even more specific. You're even less likely, depending on what you have currently available, to get the benefit of this. But it takes a while for these talents to pop up in the tree anyway, right? Yeah, in fact, wait, it's only one. We only get the one of it, but we do have an improved version. But it helps you with critical hits, and also you can do it more often eventually. It's just easier to justify doing it more often. Alright, now let's get into the really good stuff. We have 3 talents which really stick out as being kind of awesome and really make you stand out in a couple different fun, interesting ways. First of all, we have an easy time disarming our opponent when we do an attack check. Certain types of attack check anyway. And so we can disarm whatever it is, a lightsaber, especially if you have an opponent with a lightsaber. That's a pretty devastating weapon. Make them your target and try to disarm them. Roll well enough, hopefully, to disarm them. Now the other 2, draw closer and force assault, deal with putting in your force powers with the lightsaber attacks. Well, telekinetics. Telekinetics and lightsaber attacks combined in different ways. Draw closer, use your force power to draw people closer and then attack them. But also don't get too caught up in the fluff of that, because mechanically the way it works, it also could be someone is right within regular lightsaber range. You could make a regular lightsaber attack check, but if you have this and use move closer, you're using your telekinetics to move them even closer. I mean, engage range, it's like lightsaber range. It's like 3 feet of the lightsaber blade and plus arm plus like some basic movement, lean forward, sort of like 5 feet away, give or take. Draw closer draws them like 1 or 2 feet. You're still engage range, but it's 1 or 2 feet closer. It's easier to hit them, or really it's just using your telekinetics to control them physically, knock them off balance, or bat their lightsaber, vibro sword, whatever, hand out of the way. It's just easier to hit them. So it's just a straight up better attack. You're better at attacking someone because of your forciness. And also that could include, if need be, drawing them physically closer to you if you need to. Maybe there's some difficult or impossible terrain in between you and them. You know, that would require a check or just extra maneuvers to go through, and you're just like, nope, get over here. But you might fail on the whole get over here thing, or you might fail on a regular lightsaber check. Either way, Force Assault allows us to, when we suck at lightsabering, we can use our Force move power, if we have it, to just do that. There are limitations, not the least of which is you have to have it in the first place to do it, but also you have to spend all those points really to make it worth it. I missed my lightsaber check. I can move a very small thing closer to me, or farther from me, or depending on what that is. There could be varying degrees of usefulness. There's a grenade that's primed. It's going to go off in a couple of rounds. Okay, I missed on my attack check against this person, but I'm going to use my force move power to move the grenade that's about to go off to someone else. Like, okay, that's a big deal, but not every instance is going to be that big of a deal. Anyway, that's it for the tree. It's a really good tree. It just feels like a classic Jedi, and it's fairly well balanced. Also, it's great as a supplement. Just dip into it for some good defense right away, and if you happen to have a decent will, you can attack with it fairly decently. And also, just when you're mastering it, it's a enjoyable lightsaber combat type of tree. Pretty defensive, some interesting stuff with the offense. You just have good, consistent offense with draw closer. That's how I think of it. It's just a really powerful lightsaber strike that also has the utility of dealing with range, and also being able to throw in a force power to make up for a crappy check. Eventually that can be a damage thing, you know, throw objects or whatever else, or disarm people, right? You can disarm people with a force move check, I'm pretty sure. Or just move people as a weapon, right? I don't know. I don't feel like looking it up at all the things it could do, but if you really focus on have this be a supplement to that move force power, that could be a lot of fun. Now, when building your classic Jedi type character, Foreign Will, obviously you'll be great with talking defense. You'll be actually really good at coercion. You could be the primary talker as far as coercion, intimidation type stuff goes. You'll be good at dealing out damage and good defense, and you have some interesting ways of doing combat, disarming people as part of your check, or just doing more damage. Yeah, it's just a pretty good all-around combat tree with some extra bonuses that make it more interesting than I just hit people with my sword, and I'm better at hitting people with my sword, although there is that as well. But I like Hutt as a species, because they do have a pretty strong will. They don't have a lot of experience points, but they could get a 4 in will, right? But most importantly, their movement sucks. That's the big weakness. They can't move as much as often, so being able to draw people closer would be really helpful for them as a melee person. Hutts also get nobody's fool, and so, yeah, right away, you'll be really strong mentally, so it fits really well with this. I also like Gan, because they have a strong will, and mostly I just like Gan in general, but they also have a solid amount of experience points, like a high amount for an alien. They can get even more, though, closer to human, or is that human level experience? If you take the lung-having Gan and get the mask and the other weaknesses that come with being vulnerable to oxygen, you get extra points, which can make it easier to build them how you want to, especially if you take 10 extra points from obligation duty or whatever. Yeah, you can have a really, really awesome build with that. Another way of going with this would be someone that has a 3 and 2 in presence or will, because you could get a 4 in will and a 3 or even 4 in presence, depending, at which point you would be a pretty good talker, especially if it's a species like Phaline or some other just really talking-focused species. They're really good with the talking, and you can get a 3-4, 4-3, or 4-4 presence and will, and then you can do the whole talking. I'm the main talker, and also I hit people real good. And you probably would be the main talker if you can get a really strong presence that governs 3 of the 5 different talking skills. You're going to have a strong will, so you're going to be good at the coercion intimidation part. Yeah, you're going to be a pretty solid talker. You're almost relying entirely on your dice pool and no talents, but still, really solid talker and good damage dealer, and a damage dealer in a fun way. Great tree. That's it for today. If you like this video and want to see more, you can support it by buying a t-shirt. Don't think of it as supporting the channel. Like, think of it as just buying a t-shirt because you like the t-shirt. You know, not everyone has money or jobs right now, so like it's not that big a deal. Don't bother. It's not that big a deal. There is a big coupon code. It's like 25% off though until the 30th. Just keep that in mind. Quarantine. That's coupon code. So go to my Teespring store, get this if you want. Or not. It's not that big a deal. Only if you really need shirts, and this is a decent price point for you. Alright, bye.